Well, hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today, I've got a bunch of used books, history used books. I don't think fiction. I might show you some of the used fiction I've picked up along the way in another video. But for this video, we're going to be looking at. Oh, actually, I do have one. I do have one fiction in here that I want to show you. But yeah, this is all history for the most part, and I've got some eclectic titles because my interests are wide ranging. But let's start with the fact that I still had $14 in credit left at Second and Charles. And a while ago I told you on this channel that I stopped taking books into Second and Charles for credit because they radically decrease the amount of credit or money that they would provide you. I was taking in brand new books, and they were just giving me pennies for it. It just was so not worth it. But while it lasted, it was wonderful. When they were paying some good money in store credit for the books I was bringing in, it was great. I had over $100 in credit, and every now and then I'd roll in to get some used books. But it steadily kept the credits kept going down and down because I would go in and not bring in anything, but then I'd come away with books. But anyway, I had $14 left on the books, and I was like, you know what? I've earned those 14, so I'm gonna go in and do it. And I spent my last $14 in credit, and I actually paid about $2 over. I got 3 chunkers that I'm really kind of excited about. The first one is a book I've never heard of. Have I heard of this author? I don't think so. The book looks like it came out in 1988. But man, this book is in such great condition, and it's Patriots: The Men Who Started the American Revolution by A.J. Langeth. But look at what a great look! Ooh, I just ripped that again. Okay, look what a great copy it is. Clean, yeah, a little bit of a rip there, but not a big deal. Just pages are in pristine condition. And yeah, Patriots, the Men Who Started the American Revolution. I'd never read this. And this one just talks about all the heavies, obviously. Washington Adams, John Adams and Samuel Adams, Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, John Hancock, Paul Revere is in here. Let's see here. Let's see. Langeth captures all the familiar figures and all the drama of America's history's greatest scenes, from shipboard pandemonium at the Boston Tea Party to the secret meetings of the Sons of Liberty to the final victory at Yorktown. He takes us into the battles, into the new Congress to hear Washington's stirring retirement address, into the spirit of our history's most unforgettable patriots. So, A.J. Langeth is the author of the novel Jesus Christ's, plural, and Saki, a biography of the writer H.H. Munro, and Hidden Terrors. I haven't heard of any of these books, but this is kind of cool. Very lavishly illustrated throughout. I love the opening pages. That is really nice. You can't have enough books on the Founding Fathers, American Revolution. I love it. And this was a really nice copy, so got this for free with my credit. Yay! Oh, and then I came across this, another chunker. And this book came out. This is a mammoth biography. And I know the author, we all do. This is Robert Remini. I found a first edition of this book. Came out in 1997. But this is a biography on Daniel Webster. You guys ready for this? Look at this guy. Daniel Webster, the man in his time. Robert Remini. Nice. Put out by Norton back in the day. It's a really great copy. There's like no staining, no anything. I recently read a book on, it was a brand new book. I think I read and reviewed it on Daniel Webster. And, Webster's a problematic character from history, figure from history. Yeah, he had this power of oratory that just wowed, his audiences. But in the end, he kind of sided with the wrong side. I think it was with the fugitive slave law, right? No, people felt betrayed in Congress by his turn at the end. He was just trying to, he's known as the great, what was he called? The great mediator? Anyway, he was or the great compromiser. He was always trying to bring together the two factions, North and South. But obviously he did not succeed. Let's see here. So, in this monumental new biography, well, it's not a new biography, obviously, Robert Rimini gives us a full life of Webster from his birth, early schooling, and rapid rise as a lawyer and politician in New Hampshire to his equally successful career in Massachusetts, where he moved in 1816. Rimini treats both the man and his time as they tangle in issues such as westward expansion, growth of democracy, market revolution, slavery and abolitionism, the national bank, and tariff issues. Webster's famous speeches are fully discussed, as are his relations with the other two of the great triumvirate, yes, Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun. Throughout, Rimini pays close attention to Webster's personal life, perhaps more than Webster would have liked, his relationships with family and friends, and his murky financial dealings with men of wealth and influence. This is biography at its best, taking advantage of the great mass of documents made available by the Webster Papers Project at Dartmouth College, as well as never-used documents in the Capitol tracing the history of Congress. It is written by a man who has made the early 19th century his own through his previous books and articles. Yes, Rimini is a National Book Award winner. He has written highly acclaimed biographies of Andrew Jackson and Henry Clay. Okay, so, and he's a professor. Well, okay, I don't know if he's still alive yet. He's a professor of history emeritus at the University of Illinois, Chicago. Robert Rimini. So I picked this up for free. It's going on my shelf. It's probably going to stay there with my, along with my other chronologically appropriate title. It'll be very close to this one. It'll probably come after it. But anyway, trying to organize my library more by my topic and era. Oh, and I got a free postcard that came in it for a bottle of Frangelico. Irresistible, it says. No resisting the taste. Don't know what Frangelico is, but hey, maybe someone out there has had Frangelico. So, the third and final book to close out my account at Second and Charles. A pristine edition, and I've been wanting this in hardcover. I've been wanting to collect this author in hardcover in versions that are not completely just trashed and just gnarly and dirty. But this one was clean and beautiful, and I finally got it. And what could it be? It's James Michener, and it's Texas, baby. And I got that big bodacious hardcover in great condition. Like, it's just great. Loving it. So I've got Texas, the novel. This thing comes in at, there's our author on the back. Look at that. This thing is a beast. 1,096 pages. This will be March of the Mammoths for next year, maybe 2025. Yeah, Texas the novel. And I've got it. Yeah. And I don't need to read you the description. It's just, everyone knows James Michener. So I was happy to get Texas. I purchased a few of his others recently that I'll be showing on this channel in the new paperback editions, which will, I like them. I like the layout. They have the same type of design the paperback reissues of James Michener's novels. But the type is so small. I should have known that. This one's going to be much better. It's just going to be hard to read this in bed. I can tell you that much. Even still, the type is kind of small, but wow, the soft covers I've recently purchased are very, very tiny. Very, very tiny print. All right, now we're going to move on from Second and Charles Adventures to books I've ordered online. Or came across. I think this next book I ordered on Thrift Books. I think I stumbled upon it, but when I was looking for something else. This is a much older book, but I like collecting these things. And this is, I believe is this the same William Manchester who wrote the Churchill biographies? It's a memoir, and I've heard about it, but I haven't. I mean, I've heard the title, I just have never read it myself, and so I got this very nice edition from this is the 5th printing, so 1979. This is William Manchester's Goodbye Darkness, a memoir of the Pacific War. Like I said, I got some marker writing here. I mean, I ordered it off Thrift Books, but I love memoirs, and especially like war memoirs. So I'll read the dust jacket for this one. Goodbye Darkness is a remarkable memoir of World War II in the Pacific, of what it looked like, sounded like, smelled like, and most of all, what it felt like, by one who underwent all but the ultimate of its experiences. The literature of World War II is replete with accounts of European campaigns, but the public has remained, until now, comparatively ignorant of the most exotic and savage fighting of the entire war. Riflemen in the Pacific could not understand the uproar on the home front, which followed publication of a picture of a handful of American casualties lying face down on a beach. The men fighting the Japanese had not only seen dismembered bodies floating in the waters off Tarawa, on Iwo Jima and Okinawa, they piled dead Marines in stacks like cordwood, and elsewhere in the Pacific, fighting men wore gas masks to disguise the stench of rotting flesh. Oh my Lord, men slept on corpses. They used them to build barricades. Neither side took prisoners. Quarter was neither asked nor given. Haunted by nightmares of the war and by an overpowering sense of irrevocable loss, William Manchester returns to the hallowed islands where thousands of his generation gave their lives. Manchester again walks the beaches where Americans attacked the Japanese, and again climbs the trails he had known as a scared young sergeant, leading his section of college students who had enlisted after Pearl Harbor into combat. Once more he digs a foxhole and spends the night alone on an eerie jungle ridge, waiting for his dreadful dreams to pounce. Oh, wow. Throughout his quest, Manchester is frequently astonished at how the trappings of junk civilization have defiled what he knows to be sacred grounds, mocking the valor of the past. He laments the lack of memorials to the dead men who in battle became closer to him than, quote, any friends had been or ever would be, end quote. This is also their story. They who called themselves the Raggedy-Ass Marines, Barney, Rip, Nocco, Horse, Mickey, Swifty Crab, Pisser McAdam, Killer Kane. They were his men, his fellow Marines. Few escaped alive and unmaimed. Those who did have lived out their lives afflicted with survivor's guilt. Can I just say the dust jacket copy for this is beautiful. Whoever wrote this, it's very eloquent. Wow. In a stirring moment informed by the accumulated emotional drama of 35 years, Manchester unexpectedly finds himself at his final destination on Okinawa's Sugarloaf Hill, where in 9 days, 7,547 Marines fell, near the spot where, on a distant June morning in 1945, he also had been gravely wounded and left for dead. Standing where he nearly lost his life, Manchester arrives at a profound understanding of the meaning of the war and why he fought, and of an America so changed from his youthful expectations. An intense, impassioned, and highly personal work, Goodbye Darkness, is singularly different from anything William Manchester has ever written during his distinguished career as a biographer, novelist, and historian. Yes, that's right. He wrote Douglas MacArthur, American Caesar. I knew I recognized his name. So maybe I'm getting him mixed up with the other Manchester who, or did it, I think this, they're not listing the Churchill books here, but I thought he, or maybe he finished it. I think he might have been one of the historians who finished the series on Churchill. But either way, doesn't this sound fascinating? Oh, so engrossing. And very much lots of photos, maps. And then he goes back. He goes back and talks about his what it was like to return to those places emotionally and psychologically. I love reading this stuff. I love connecting with other human beings through time and space. And books just have the power to do that. It's just amazing. So I'm really happy to have Goodbye Darkness. Let's continue on the theme of memoirs. I heard about this in a podcast, the commentary podcast. I think John Podhoretz had mentioned this memoir, either him or one of the other commentators on the podcast. These are the memoirs of Elie Wiesel, and I was able to find these, I think, through thrift books or third party on Amazon. But I've picked up both. I've got 2 volumes of Elie Wiesel's memoirs. So let's see here. Oh, that's great. So the first book here, the first volume, Elie Wiesel Memoirs, All Rivers Run to the Sea. This was put out by Knopf. Whoa, sorry about the lack of focus. It's deco-edged too. I don't know if you can tell that. This one came out, the first volume, 1995. Oh, and this is the first American edition. So I have a first American edition of the memoirs. The long-anticipated memoirs of the novelist and Nobel Peace Laureate open with a child's entry into hell. We see the boy, Elie Wiesel, torn from a traditional and loving Jewish family life in a Carpathian village and dragged through the horrors of Auschwitz and Buchenwald. We see him emerge a bloodless adolescent, a mute spirit with no homeland. In his passionate, poignant, and moving account of those years and of the amazing years that followed, a remarkable life unfolds. I'll give you a little bit more. At war's end, parents and youngest sister vanished. Life begins anew in a French orphanage. The boy has to speak in a new language, navigate in a new culture, find within himself a way to re-embrace his fellows. Wiesel recalls his struggle with his God and his intense sorties into the study of philosophy, the Jewish scriptures, and the lore of the mystics. He remembers the gradual rekindling of old dreams. He is comforted by the survival of 2 of his sisters, and we see him becoming once again fully alive. Then it kind of goes into his adolescence. He falls in love. He travels the world. He forms friendships with Golda Meir and Francois Mauriac, and the deepest of attachments to Israel. He speaks out on the plight of the Soviet Jews. And in the late 1950s, inspired to write his first book, Night, he finds at last his voice as a witness. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this very much. I've been drawn to memoirs even more so than I ever have been. Just love connecting with people. Alive or Dead. It's about 400 pages for volume 1. And then I also picked up a pretty good used version of the second volume, which is Elie Wiesel and The Sea is Never Full. Memoirs, 1969 to present. So if you read the titles of these books in order, it says All Rivers Run to the Sea and The Sea is Never Full. So that's really clever. And where does it leave us here in the second volume? As this concluding volume of his moving and revealing memoirs begins, Elie Wiesel is 40 years old, okay? A writer of international repute. Determined to speak out more actively for both Holocaust survivors and the disenfranchised everywhere, he sets himself a challenge. Quote, I will become militant. I will teach, share, bear witness. I will reveal and try to mitigate the victim's solitude, end quote. He makes words his weapon, and in these pages we relive with him his unstinting battles. Love it. Okay, so now the proud owner of the Elie Wiesel two-volume set of his memoirs. So very, very excited for that. Let's see here. All right. We're going to go, since we're talking about kind of that and Holocaust, and let's just switch over to Nazis for a minute. But this book really intrigued me because I did not know about this. Okay, we're talking about one of the lead Nazis. Did you know that Hermann Goring had a brother? And his brother was very much against all of it. So they were a family divided in a sense. And I wanted to know more about this. And so I heard about this book and I wanted to pick it up. And I got it used. It's Hermann and Albert Goring, The Nazi and the Renegade by James Wiley. This was put out by the History Press. So let me read a little bit about it to you here. They were the most unlikely of siblings. One, Adolf Hitler's most trusted henchman. The other, a fervent anti-Nazi. Hermann Goring was a founder member of the Nazi Party who became commander of the Luftwaffe, we all know, ordering the terror bombing of civilians and promoting the use of slave labor in his factories. His brother Albert loathed Hitler's regime and saved hundreds, possibly thousands, across Europe from Nazi persecution. He deferred to Hermann as head of the family, but spent nearly a decade working against his brother's regime. Good on you. If he had been anyone else, he would have been imprisoned or executed. Despite their extreme and differing beliefs, Hermann sheltered his brother from prosecution, and they remained close throughout the war. That's interesting. Here, for the first time, James Wiley brings Albert out of the shadows and explores the extraordinary relationship of the Goring brothers. So, wow. I'm so curious about family relationships that are strained to that point. It's just on opposite sides. It's kind of almost like a mirror of what this country's going through right now and has been going through for probably 2 decades. But it's just increasingly gotten worse and worse. It's dividing families now, politics and ideology. So I wanted to read this because I think history is a wonderful teacher. But in this case, I'm like, how do you maintain a relationship with your brother when he's doing, I don't know. I'm curious. But I also like knowing that Albert Goring, didn't go along with the crowd, and he wanted to save people. So I'm interested. I want to read this, so I picked it up. All right. I picked this book up just because I recently read a novel, historical fiction, that imagined the life of a dictator's daughter. And it was called The Ogre's Daughter. And it was about the daughter of the Dominican Republic's kind of like, I don't want to say tyrant, but autocrat, dictator, I guess, of sorts. Rafael Trujillo, and I wanted to know more about him because so that book really just opened up a lot of things for me. I didn't know a lot about what was going on in the Dominican Republic in the 50s and 60s and stuff, or even before then, but I was able to, I just Googled and I'm like, I want to learn more about Trujillo, and I found this book. It was put out by Stanford University Press in 2003, and this is Foundations of Despotism, Peasants Through the Trujillo Regime and Modernity in Dominican History by Richard Lee Turritz. Stanford University Press. Pretty good used copy. And what is it saying here? This book explores the history of the Dominican Republic as it evolved from the first European colony in the Americas into a modern nation under the rule of Rafael Trujillo. It investigates the social foundations of Trujillo's exceptionally enduring and brutal dictatorship, which lasted, 1930 to 1961. So it investigates that and more broadly the way power is sustained in such non-democratic regimes. This was the winner of the 2003 John Edwin. There's some prize. I'm not going to read the whole name of the prize because I just don't want YouTube to flag me for anything. You know, lately YouTube is just not letting me do anything with my videos. But anyway, there you go. Okay, he won that prize. Good on you. Good on you, sir. Let's see here. Anyway, I wanted to check it out because I had read that book and I was kind of like, I don't know, like I joke around a lot in this channel that I have majored in history and minored in dictators and despots because I've got so many books on the bad guys in history. I didn't know about Trujillo, so I kind of wanted to learn more. All right. This book came up as an offshoot of a reading event that was about a year ago. Or was it a year ago? Or was it this year? Oh my God, how time flies. It was this year. I think so. Red September, baby. I can't even remember anymore. Holy crap. I can't keep track of what's going on in the world and in my own channel. This is Soviet Defectors, the KGB Wanted List by Vladislav Krasnov. This was put out by Hoover Press. I can't remember why I wanted to get it now. We were talking about defectors. I think that was one of our subcategories to read for Red September, and I think Faith in Books had a lot of... this might have been on one of the books on our list, or... I don't know, but let me just read this to you. Despite efforts to wall off the USSR, Soviet borders have proven less than defector-proof. Determined defectors have found cracks in the wall. The defections of Lenin Prize winner Anatoly Fedoseev, ballet stars Natalia Makarova and Mikhail Baryshnikov, MiG-25 pilot Viktor Belenko, and UN Undersecretary General Arkady Shevchenko demonstrate the malaise of a system that cannot rely even on its most privileged members. This is the first book about the phenomenon of Soviet defection, its scope, character, and trends. Its principal source is a secret Soviet document, the KGB Wanted List, smuggled out to the West. Analysis of this document provides a broad picture of defection that will be of interest to all students of Soviet affairs as well as to the general public. Himself listed in the Wanted List, the author suggests a number of ways to improve U.S. handling of Soviet defectors. All right, so obviously a very dated book. Yes, this came out in 1985. The Soviet Union ceased existing in 1990. So, but either way, it's fascinating, and there's a lot of... I want to see this KGB Wanted List for my, my very vast library of Soviet history and Russian history. I love that stuff, so eat it up. Oh gosh, yeah. Now, I ordered this recently, and I still haven't taken it out of the shrink wrap because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put it in my library. I bought this on eBay because I was looking to get the set, and it was too price prohibitive, buying single volumes here and there, whatever. But I found this shrink wrapped and new on eBay for like $60, and I wanted these in hardcover. I have a beat-up copy and softcover of the second book in the series, but I wanted these hardcovers. And this is Rick Atkinson's masterful Liberation trilogy. Oh my goodness, An Army at Dawn, The Day of Battle, The Guns at Last Light. I bought this on eBay. So I've got all 3 volumes now. Yeah, The Day of Battle is the one I have in paperback, and it's just so beat up, and I don't even want to read it. It wouldn't be fun for me. I love reading hardcovers. So, yeah, I haven't taken the shrink wrap off yet, but I plan on it. There you have it. Those are the books there of the Liberation trilogy. Very stoked for that. You know what? Let me throw in one more fiction because I'm considering getting the other books in this series. I might. I might. And because they're available on Hamilton Book right now. But anyway, this is some really good historical fiction, and I love historical fiction series. And this is William C. Hammond's. I bought just the first volume in the series. But this is the Cutler Family Chronicles, and the first book in the series is A Matter of Honor. So this is very much a naval, seafaring type tales, but it takes you through a young man's coming of age during the American Revolution. And I love that kind of stuff. So, A Matter of Honor, first book in the Cutler Family Chronicles. Let me read this to you. Maritime fiction. The first volume in a series of maritime novels set in the early years of the U.S., A Matter of Honor is a dramatic account of a young man's coming of age. Introducing Richard Cutler, a Massachusetts teenager with strong family ties to England. The novel tells his story as he ships out with John Paul Jones to avenge the death of his beloved brother Will, impressed by the Royal Navy and flogged to death for striking an officer. Uh-oh, you don't do that. Ooh, you're going to get it. On the high seas in England and in France, on the sugar islands of the Caribbean, and on the battlefield of Yorktown, Cutler proves his mettle and wins the love and allegiance to the infant republic of a beautiful English aristocrat from the arms of Horatio Nelson himself. Ooh, yes, baby. So A Matter of Honor. These books come out. These are from McBooks Press. And McBooks, they have a lot of naval fiction, McBooks Press, by a lot of different authors. So I think I might get the other ones too. I've got room in my my fiction closet over here. It's off camera. It's a little bit messy over there right now, but yeah, I've got shelves in my fiction closet, and I think this is the other ones might have to go there with this one. I hope to read this maybe next year. The end of the year is booked for me, but anyway, booked for me. No, no pun intended. I hope everyone had a lovely Thanksgiving. For those of you in the U.S., my Lions won. I was happy. And then my my Wolverines, booyah, upset all the way, baby. I took down the that team from the South. I'm just kidding. We're not afraid to say the name. We beat Ohio State. We beat them. We beat them. We beat them so good. But anyway, guys, that's it for some of my used books. I've got a few more under here that are fiction. I'll probably show them in another video, but wanted to run these by you, see what you thought. Maybe just turn you on to something here that you didn't even know existed, and that's what I like to do. I like to surprise you with some of my choices. So until next time, thanks for joining me here at the History Shelf. I will be back very soon. Until next time, take care and read more history. Bye.